What's going on, everyone? We're back. All right, we're looking at a chart of the S&P 500 ES futures, and I'm going to be taking you guys bar by bar on what I saw in the price action today. We are using no indicators besides this 21 EMA, and the yellow and red and green lines that you see that are dotted are just the open, low, and highs of the day. So without further ado, let's get into the video. I'm going to show you guys how I spot different trade setups and also how I interpret the charts as they are printing on the chart, or how I interpret the chart as the bars are printing on the chart. All right, so we clearly see that we're going from the lows to the highs, back down to the lows, and when that happens, we're just looking at a range-like structure until we're proven otherwise. But with that said, we always want to draw our trend lines and trend channels to give us an idea of what's going on. For example, if I see this short-term uptrend, I'm going to draw a trend channel. And the rules with trend channels are that once there's a break and a new extreme, like in this case, we had a break of the channel, a new high, then we can start looking for trades in the other direction. Or a potential that we just have congestion before reversing. Or that we have some congestion and then we keep pushing in the same direction, proving that the trend channel is actually wider and more strong than we thought. So when we're looking at prices reaching these lows, instead of thinking, okay, I'm looking to sell, we should always be thinking, let me draw my trend channel, and I'm not going to look to sell, especially because there's a lot of buying pressure here. You always want to buy at the bottom of the ranges and sell at the top of ranges. And we had a break, a new low of this short-term downtrend before pushing lower. So as I said, we can either try to look for a wider channel, something like this, or we can see if prices start reversing and prove that our trend channel like this is correct indeed, because we had a break and a new low and then we started reversing. So now we did end up pushing higher, showing that, okay, our trend channel is valid, and now let's look for trades in the other direction. Let's look for second entry longs, such as what we see right here. We have a new high. We went down with one leg. We went up, and then we had another leg down with this one bearish bar. So first leg, second leg, and if the next bar breaks above this one, that creates a second entry long. But because we were away from the EMA, you should skip this trade and wait for a touch of the EMA. And we see that we didn't even break above that. And we ended up reversing. So this is a second entry long failure. First entry long, second entry long failure. And let's see what ended up happening. We had a little congestion before creating a new extreme of this short-term uptrend. We don't yet want to draw an uptrend like this because we haven't reached the other side of this trend channel. And also, in range-like days, we always want to focus on the short-term trends because that's what will be more accurate and keep us on the right side of the market for the majority of the day. So, if we have this trend channel, we had a break, new extreme, so we don't want to look for longs anymore, especially because we're in the middle of this range. And we see if we put a midline on this range that we have, it's right near the open of the day, which shows us, okay, our range is probably correct, because whenever the open of the day is right near the middle of the range, it just shows that prices are reacting to basically the midline and the open of the day. So if we keep going, we see that we just had a lot of choppiness, and you always want to just stay out of this and draw your short-term ranges as well as the short-term trend channels. So now we see that we had a break in a new high. We can either work to reach the top of this range or reverse if there's more bears, more selling pressure, and reach the lows again. But before we can do anything, we just have to always stay patient and look for the high probability setups. And we see that we just went back and forth, and here we have a lower high in the middle of, or at the top of this short-term range, confirming that there's selling pressure here. However, we don't want to just look for a lower high or a higher low of the failed breakout. You can even argue for this trade. This is a trade that I do like because we bounced once, twice, 3 times, almost a fourth, and this is the 5th time. But as we'll see in a second, I would skip this trade as well just because there's 1, 2, 3, 4 bars stacked. And once we have a lower high confirming, or at least what we think is going to confirm the range, here we have even more bar stacked. There's like 8 bars stacked. So whenever there's bar stacked, it just means there's even more congestion, like so. And that trade would not have worked out if you went short, even though prices did end up going right where we thought they would go. And at this point of the day, I don't know if you even want to sell right here because we just had a failed breakout from the top. That didn't end up being a failed breakout. We ended up testing the EMA and bouncing out, followed by more selling pressure. So you really don't know if there's any short-term trend like this. So you don't want to be selling just yet. And we end up bouncing at these lows, which we expect, and we have a higher low right here. But in this case, we don't want to buy because we're below the EMA, and also we have to respect this short-term downtrend. There's no break, and well, there's a break, but there's no new low of this short-term downtrend, so we don't want to be buying just yet. And you would have got stopped out before reversing and going just where we thought prices would eventually go. But once again, that trade did not work out because of this short-term downtrend. Even if it was something like this, we have to respect that there was no break in a new low, and only until there was the break in a new low, then we can start looking for trades in the other direction. And here there's a higher low after the break and a new low, but it's not really confirming much, so we can't really take that trade either. But if we have a failed second entry short, like we have here, then you can be confident in taking that. And the failed second entry short happens because we have a new low here. First entry short because this bar barely breaks below that. We pushed up again, and we have a second entry short, which in the right context, a second entry short is what we're looking for if we're looking for shorts. But in this case, we're looking for longs because we have this short-term uptrend in play. We're at the bottom of this range, and we pushed back strong above the EMA before testing the EMA again and pushing higher. So again, we have a break and a new high, so we don't want to be looking for longs anymore. And we go to the bottom side of the trading range again. And we see that we went from the highs to the lows, and we bounced out even one more time, showing that this trend channel is very valid. And we're seeing prices in the correct manner. So now, once again, let's draw our short-term uptrends. So we have a break, new high, and we just have prices being very choppy for finally reaching the top of this trading range. And here we have a new high, first entry long, second entry long, failure at the EMA, nice bearish bar, coming from the top of this range one more time. And once again, we want to see selling pressure at the top of the range. So we have a new high, first entry long, second entry long, failure. And that would have been a nice trade. Now, once again, we just have more choppiness before reaching the high of the trading range. And we had a news item a little later in the day. So that's why prices were very, very choppy today. But there were some nice setups if you were patient enough to find them. And here we have another second entry short. So we have a new low, first entry short, second entry short, but we can't go short right here because the signal bar is not very good. But once we push low and we have a lower high, confirming this bearish momentum, confirming that we need a new low of this short-term downtrend, confirming that the selling pressure is still here and we want to go to the bottom side of this trading range. And that was a nice trade one more time. Now we finally did reach the bottom side of the trading range and prices bounced out, but we had a lot of big bars, so you want to stay away from any news item until the volatility really slows down. And we see that we have a failed second entry long right here, new high, first entry long, second entry long, failure. It's kind of a doji bar, so it's an iffy trade, but if you guys are more advanced traders and you know what really is going on in the context, considering the amount of times we reacted at these prices, you can be confident that this trade is going to work, and it ended up working just fine. And for the rest of the day, that was pretty much it. We were just stuck in this range for nearly the entire day, but if you guys learned some value out of these videos, I would really appreciate a like. Give me a comment. If you guys have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Peace out.